Hi everyone, welcome back and thanks for joining me today. This is Jonna with Purple Girl Crafts. Today we're going to make this rotating card. This time it's a hexagon. As you can see, when you open it up, the mice will spin around. So will the cheese. This card requires die cuts for the hexagon. It is lightweight. As you can see, when you open it, it will stand up for display. It measures about 5.5 by 5 when it's completed. So let's get started. So the first thing we'll need is our scoreboard. And for our base piece, this is going to be cut at 11 by 5. We are going to turn this on the 11-inch side and score it at 5.5. Next, we need 3 pieces, and these are all the same pattern. These are going to be 5.25 by 4.75. And again, we'll need 3 pieces. Then you'll need 1 piece, and this is cut at 3.5 by 3. On the 3-inch side, we're going to score this at 1 and 2. Turn it to the 3.5-inch side, score it at 1/2, 1, 1.5, and 3. So I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to put X's once again where we need to remove those flaps. And I know this is hard to see. So this is what we're going to cut away. You're going to cut away the X's, and I'm going to put just a diagram right there. I will put one back up when we get ready to cut it. We're not going to cut it right now. So for the base piece, what we're going to do is we're going to put one of the pattern pieces on the card, and I'm just going to tape it. Just so that it stays in place, because we're going to cut the hexagon shape out of this. So I'm just using some low-tack tape. So my hexagon shape, this is 3 3/4 inches. And now I have this extra piece. This is just from the paper. It's just a piece, just a strip, just so that I can make sure it's even. So I'm going to put a mark at 2.5 inches. And that is the center of the card. And I'm going to do that right on top of the tape because I'm going to remove the tape later. Then I'm going to lay this piece down. And this is just so I can get this hexagon straight. So I'm going to make sure that it's centered. And you want about 3/4 inch from the edge on both sides. So I'm just going to hold this down and make sure it's even. And then I'm just going to tape this, and again, it's going to be lined up with that center point. So I'm going to go cut this out. And I'm just using my die cut machine. And I'm just making sure that is level on there. All right, so I've cut this piece out. And I'm just going to carefully remove the tape. Now I'm going to take that piece out. Now you can remove that top piece if you want, or you can leave it on there for now. So I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to put the other piece on the opposite side, just like this. Again, we're just going to tape this down. Just make sure you have your even border all the way around. I'm going to flip this back over. Now this is a double-sided paper. That's why you're seeing the green. I'm going to draw around that edge. And then I'm going to remove that piece of paper because my die cut machine will not cut through all 3 layers with this die cut. It's just a little bit too thin. So I'm just going to take this. I'm going to put it on this paper. Just line it up. And then I'll cut that out. So that one's ready. Then we're going to do the same thing on this piece because we need the center cut out of it. So I'm going to use a smaller hexagon. And that one looks just about right. This one's going to be about 1 7/8 of an inch. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use that cheat sheet of just my little piece of scrap. Make sure it's lined up with that point. And then I'm going to lay that middle piece in there and making sure it's even. So I'm just going to make sure it's even right in the middle, and I'm just going to glue or tape these down, and then I'll cut these two pieces out at the same time. So I'm going to cut these. So these are now complete. And you want to take the tape off. So you have the one middle yellow piece, you have the patterned piece. You can keep these and use these, or you can just keep them and use them later. Okay, so then I cut one more because I want the center piece to be doubled up. So I cut another same size, so I have two of those pieces, and I just use scratch paper. So I'm going to line this up and glue this down. So I'm just putting glue all around the piece. And then we're just going to secure that piece down on the card. Then I'm going to flip it over. We're going to remove that top piece because that's still taped down. Just be very careful on this when you remove your tape. And I just ripped mine. So we'll do something to cover that up in a minute. And then we're going to glue this piece down onto the top of the card. I'm going to turn this because I know that the bad piece is on the right hand side. So that is the front and inside of the card. And then you just want to fold your card in half, making sure it's lined up and it's even, and then crease out that fold. Okay, this is what you should have so far. So you're going to take the third piece and we're going to glue that to the back of the card on the inside. So once I have enough glue on there, we're going to secure that to the inside of the card on the bottom. Again, just making sure you have that even border all the way around. So that is just for the base of the card. Next, we're going to work on the mechanism. As you can see, mine is different because when I started to cut it, it started to rip on the folds because of the paper. So I redid one in white. And I'm just cutting away using the diagram up on the right-hand corner just to cut away the pieces. And again, you want to cut away everything that has an X, and the red X in the middle is where we are going to score it. So now that that is done, let me move those out of the way. So I'm going to fold those two flaps in, and then we're going to score this from corner to corner. And I know this is hard to see, so I'm just going to put a little mark where my ends would meet. And we're just going to do a diagonal score as I'm showing you here. Okay, so let's move our scoreboard out of the way. And we are going to take and we're going to make all these score folds and crease them out. And again, if you've got paper that is just a colored paper, sometimes it cracks. And when I did the yellow, the same as the hexagon you see on the right, it started to crack. So I had to change it. So I'm just doing basic white cardstock. Okay, so once all your folds are done, you want to glue those two extra arms and that just adds weight to the mechanism. And you just want to close those down and then just push out that glue. And again, now when you fold these in, you're going to fold them inward. You should have these lined up and then they don't overlap. Then you know you've got your good mechanism. And then just go ahead and crease out those folds again. And so I'll show you as this goes, that's how they will move. Okay, so now we're going to secure this to the card. So let's move the card over. So we're going to take the end with that one smaller flap, and you want to make sure that's in the middle of the card. So once you have it right in the middle, I'm just lining up the center point with that's the hexagon point. Once it's lined up, you just want to put glue on that last tab. And then just go ahead and push that down. And then I'm going to open it up and just again push that glue. Now for the hexagon, I'm going to put two of these together just to give it some additional weight for when it turns. So I'm just going to put glue on one of them. And then I'm just going to glue the second one just right on top of it and just matching it up. Once that's done, we're going to turn it over because we want the wrong side to be facing us. We're going to just fold those arms in, and we're going to put that hexagon through that arm just like that. And then you want to line this up. Now if you want it to turn this over and line up your flowers, you can. This pattern is so repetitive that I'm not going to do that this time. I'm not going to line them up. So I'm just going to put this in, making sure that it is flat and laying within the cut. I'm going to lay my piece out. I'm going to fold just that one piece down, just like this, and we're going to put glue. I'm just going to put a pencil mark how much glue we want to put. So we're going to put glue just on that arm. Then you want to take the arm again, and you want to make it flat again, and then just bring it down on itself just like that. And then secure that arm. The other arm will not be secured yet. We're not going to work on that one right now. So we're going to put glue on this last flap, just on that one little piece, not the point part, just on the flap that's going to be secured to the card. And once you put glue on it, you can just hold it and then just close the card on itself, and then you just push that glue down. And then once it's glued, we're going to eventually put this on the top, in the front on the center. But we're going to still work on the middles of the card, so we're not going to put anything on the top yet. So this is the way the card will open, and the hexagon will rotate. So now for the next piece, if you want that additional arm, we've left that arm on there, and we're going to put this additional hexagon on. You want to do it while the card is open. You don't want to go too far on the arm, so don't put it on the arm fully because it will get caught on the back side. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on one of the edges. Then I'm going to put it underneath the hexagon and just put it about halfway on that arm. And again, when you do this, you want to make sure that it doesn't stick out and that the card will close perfectly. If you've got to move it out a little bit or in, you can. So that's how that arm will move. Okay, then we will put on the top piece. And again, this is just going to be in the center. So you're just going to put it right in the middle, and you want to make sure that your lines are lined up. We're going to put glue just on the edge. And then we'll glue this piece down. I'm just making sure again that it's lined up with the other hexagon. So then everything will turn but that top one. Now you could put another one on top if you want it on here. I'm not going to, but you could break up the color if you wanted. Yeah, I don't like that on there, so I'm not going to put that piece on there. Next, we have the decorations. This is the part that takes just a little bit longer. So I've got my 4 little mice, and these I drew and colored out, or colored and cut out. And I also have some cheese, and all I did was color some yellow paper, and then I just used a small hole punch and just cut holes out to make it look like cheese with holes. So I'm going to put these, I think, on the lever. And again, you want to line them up so that they line up and do not come out of the card when the card is closed. If they extend when the card is open, that's okay, but you don't want them when the card is closed. So I'm going to put just a couple pieces of cheese on there. And then for the mice, I'm going to have them sitting on the edge. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them because I want them to look like they're coming out from the bottom. So I'm just going to take and cut off their bodies and cut up to their arms. So I'm just cutting around just so their arms will hang out. I'm leaving the bodies on there so I can glue it. We'll put him on here, and then we'll put his arms up on top. If I can, there you go. Just like that. As you see, he sticks out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut him just a little bit further. I'll probably go all the way up to his head, just so that he will sit in there properly. And I'm just again cutting just right alongside the arm. All right, so let's try this again. So I'm going to put him in there, and then as I close the card, you can see he's still showing, but if I turn him just a little bit, then he'll fit perfectly just like that. So I'm going to grab my knife, and I'm going to cut just a little bit further in. I just want to make sure those are fully cut through. The scissors were a little bit too hard to cut it, so we'll try this way. Okay, much better. See, so now he will fit in there so you can't see him. You'll see his arms on the outside, but you won't see him until you open the card. So that looks good there. Great, so I'm just going to put just some glue just on his body. And then again, I'm going to put him in there, put his arms on the outside. And then again, just make sure he fits. And then we'll do another one on the inside, on the next side of the hexagon. So we'll have 2 together right there. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to cut his arms out and cut some of the extra body off of him. And then we'll put him right about here. So he'll fit just right there. And again, I'm just making sure that he's not sticking out of the card when the card is closed. And then once I figure out where he's going to go, I'm just going to put glue just on that body part, not on his arms. And then just put him back on and push him down. And again, before I totally secure him, just making sure that he doesn't stick out. So that's 2 of the mice. Then I'm going to take the white glue and I'm just going to use it to secure his arms down so they don't get caught on anything. Okay, that looks good so far. Then we're going to put one mouse on the front, and I'm going to do the one where his head is tilted. And then we're going to do some of the cheese, and we'll put those around the wheel. And again, I don't want them to show, so I'm just going to line them up and make sure that they fit. And then I'm just putting a little bit of glue on them, and then just securing them down. And you want to use the glue so you can, if you need to move it, you can move it just a little bit. I'm going to put a second piece on this one. So that's perfect, just like that. And the card will open and close. It won't be in the way. And then we'll put another piece just down on the other side. I'm just going to stick it between there just so I can make sure that it does fit and it doesn't stick out. This is the best part. You can just play with it and just move your pieces to where you want them to go so that they look right. Okay, that looks good there. So we're going to put that one on. And again, I'm just going to put just a little bit of glue on it. And then I'm going to secure it to that underside of the bigger hexagon. Okay, then I decided, and this was, part way through making the card, I'm going to poke just some extra holes through that middle piece. Now you could have done this before you secured it, but I'm just poking, just using the hole punch just to make some holes. And then we'll put the mouse on the top piece. So I'm just going to glue him down. I'm not going to do any dimensions on him. Then we'll just put him right in the middle. And that makes it look so much cuter. And then we'll put one more mouse. I think we'll put him at the bottom. So again, I'm going to cut this one away just like I did the others. Cut off the extra body. Cut around his hands. Yep, but he looks good there. So again, just put glue on the body. I am going to cut off the tail because when I turned it, you couldn't see it, so there's no reason to have it there. And then we're going to put this one at the bottom of the hexagon. Again, when the card's open, it doesn't matter. You just want to make sure that it fits when you close the card and that it doesn't get in the way of the card. And then I'm just going to glue his arms down. Perfect. Okay, so that's for the inside of the card. Now, if you wanted to, you could still do some more embellishments. I'm going to put one more piece of cheese on the inside. On this one, you have to be careful that you don't go too far so that it doesn't get caught on the mechanism. We're going to put that just right under him. Okay, that looks good. All right, so then I've got just a couple more pieces of cheese, and we're just going to put these just around on the front of the card. I do want to put one just to hide that blemish that I did when I pulled the tape off. So I grabbed some more of these pieces of cheese that I made. Again, I'm just going to put them around the front. Because I do want to hide the blemish. So we'll just put them there. I have not done a sentiment yet because I don't know who I'm going to give this to, but I thought how neat it would be to do a different shape on this rotating card. So I tried the hexagon. I might try some other shapes in the future, but this one I thought was pretty nice. All right, so I'm just finishing gluing these down. And then for one last thing, I'm going to take just a yellow marker And I'm just going to add some dimension. So I'm just going to add some shadow to the pieces of cheese, just on one side, and then around the holes on the cheese. It just adds just a little bit of just like dimension to it. All right, so as I finish that up, I want to thank you for joining me. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. There'll be more giveaways coming. So until next time, happy crafting, and I hope to see you real soon. Bye-bye.